honestly, even not, I guess, since you're still gonna have to go through bull crap. It's like you go through the cash for kids system or whatever situation you were in beforehand, and then you get out here and you get treated like crap still. That's why people end up getting worse and worse, especially when they get stuck out here. Because like I always say, people commonly first become homeless by themselves, somewhere from age 7 to 16. And, what else was I gonna say? Because the cops just turn back around and pass by again. I'm waiting for the bus now, but I have a while, but what did I last say? People first become homeless by themselves, somewhere from age 7 to 16. Most of your issues are going to be with cops, what I like to call let me help you lunatics, other 911 happy people, and people that just treat you like crap and call you a bum or have assumptions about who you are, what you're doing, accuse you of stuff, things like that. Like, people always throw up this trafficking stuff and all that. Most people in higher level traffic are born in. Even in lower level traffic, you usually get thrown in there by guardians. And I'm not saying you can't get kidnapped walking down the street. Obviously you can, but like most of these narratives that are pushed that tell people that are pushed to scare people into not escaping trafficking and other abuse situations. But that's kind of besides the point. It's just that, like, the people you really have to worry about, you're told to not worry about. I would honestly say you could just worry about cops and everything else you could push to the side. Although the people who don't like you will call the cops on you. But yeah, that guy was saying he feels like there's been a lot of talk going on lately, and they're definitely spreading rumors about me and him, and they're definitely the ones getting the police involved. Because, like, when I first came here, I noticed that, unlike other places I had been, the cops, when they see you walking around a lot, or they see you, like, out at night, or they see you, like, with a book bag on and stuff like that, they don't stop and say anything. In fact, it seemed like they really just spent a lot of time driving in circles, and it made me wonder, what do they really do? But they didn't harass me or anybody. But, like, lately they've been getting funny, and it is because of the library thing. And it's so weird, though, because they act like somebody's gonna, like, stay at the library forever just because we're, like, there during the day. And that's another funny thing, though, because, like, even when I live with relatives, when I was able to, like, go and leave the house, I would go to the library. In fact, I would actually spend a lot of time sleeping places, usually places that were closed, because obviously I don't want to deal with the bullcrap and questions and people calling whoever. But I would spend so much time sleeping outside of places. Like, I remember I found this one church when I still lived with relatives, and I would sleep behind there. And I would get, like, the best sleep I had ever gotten in my life. Like, I remember when I was even 6, I would have maladaptive daydreams about running away right before the world started to really end, and, like, finally getting the best sleep ever. And that was before the sleep deprivation abuse that started at 8. But still, I always liked outside. I always knew I would get the best sleep outside. But yeah, before I left, I would sleep outside. That's when my stranded trauma started. So, like, now whenever I get stranded or stuck somewhere, or I'm having, like, issues with the bus system, I go into, like, emotional flashbacks. But, like, I would have to sneak places to go get food or to go do whatever, go to the library, whatever, or I would just go places, and I would get stuck there sometimes and have to, like, sleep outside of libraries or sleep at bus stations, different things like that. It was really triggering to me then, and it gives me emotional flashbacks now, especially missing the bus. But it also gives me emotional flashbacks because of other trauma revolving around buses. But I'm not going to go into that. Anyways, what point was I getting at? Oh, yeah. It's like I've done this stuff before, but it's like with these security companies and laws cracking down, it's even harder to do without being harassed by cops. Because, like, when I did that stuff then, I never got harassed by cops. I also feel like where you're at makes a difference as well. But like I said, I mean, I've been an ally in these other security companies. They're everywhere now. you can't go to any state without seeing them. And then there was something else. Can't remember what I was about to say. Oh yeah, people feel like you're in a certain situation. That also makes it worse, but yeah, it's like I've been doing this stuff off and on for years now. And I guess people could say, like, just don't. And I mean, honestly, I do know that, like, I'm gonna have to focus more on, like, really off-grid camping whenever I do camp again. Cause, like, this isn't it. But I will say, though, I am kind of stuck in the state that I'm currently in. But that's kind of a side story. I just, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm gonna have to, like, put travel into a back burner for a while. But I think also the bigger thing is that I'm allergic to building chemicals, so I get really sick when I'm indoors, although I'm kind of sick now because I didn't wear a mask for a couple days. Or, well, I didn't sleep with one. I really have to sleep with one on. That's the bigger thing. Because of, like, things would get in my tonsils removed and, like, some other stuff from the iatrogenic metabolic issues that's kind of hard to explain. But, yeah. So, there's that. But I get so sick when I'm indoors, especially when I'm staying somewhere that possibly has mold, has certain building chemicals, or doesn't have an AC unit or HVAC unit really. Because HVAC units have a certain amount of air changes per hour. But a lot of places I've lived in, not only is the air really polluted indoors, because like most buildings have mold, the chemicals, but also a lot of places don't have HVAC units. They don't have air conditioning, and then that like leaves some more chemicals just sitting there, and there's not enough air changes per hour. And if I remember right, it's like 30 to 45 or something that there has to be legally. But yeah. What else could I say? If you're in a place and if you go to one store, no, I won't even say that. I don't know. I guess like maybe another thing is that when you're like doing these types of things, I guess like this one girl said, never be anywhere longer than 3 days. Although I feel like that's way too short. I don't even know who has the money or time to bounce around every 3 days. And also, if you leave a place or a city every 3 days or a county every 3 days, you're not there long enough to actually really see anything. Like, it takes me at least like 2 weeks or a month to really get comfortable enough to really start walking around a lot. But if you're in a place too long, you are going to get noticed too much. And people who have their different little feelings about you or certain people are going to get funny. I don't even know what to say. Oh yeah, but one thing I can say though, going back to the whole not being able to sleep being triggering, one thing I do know is that once the police start getting to where like I can't really go anywhere without being followed or them telling me something or saying something or threats, or I can't go to sleep anywhere because if I go one place, if I'm not even there for 15 minutes and they're there, I've learned that means I need to get out of there. But yeah, when you're actually doing tent camping though, that does last longer. But I'm not doing that right now for a couple reasons. Tents are heavy though, and they're hard to put up. It's like, it's good sometimes when I'm going to like places that really, really have woods, but when I'm not, there's not really a point in having one. Some people use hammocks, but hammocks are hard to put up. I would worry about it falling, but also it's going to be really, really visible unless you're in the woods, so there's also that. But I don't even know what to say. But yeah, I get what that guy means though. He can't take all the bullcrap and all the weird treatment from people and them like getting police involved. I don't know, they're acting like we live at the library or something. But I also don't like how the library situation has turned into like cops specifically running around looking for me and him. Like, and the thing is, he's out here less than I am. he's usually getting hotels, so like he's just waiting for his housing to come through because he's already been on the list. But me personally, I don't do the hotel thing because, for one, I'm not like necessarily in that type of situation where I'm like needing housing, but also like I'm out here to camp. Like, I go places, I see things, I go to the museums if I have enough money. I go places to actually camp, usually in the woods. So like, I'm not doing the whole hotel thing. In some places I'm not even old enough to get a hotel, like in Georgia, but I don't have the money for that, but I wouldn't want to anyway because that's not what I'm like needing or doing either. I wouldn't get a hotel unless it's snowing. And especially if you have like steady income and you don't make enough and you're like supposed to be saving for housing or for whatever to eat, whatever. Because he's really not making enough money, and it's honestly sad, but hotels, even motels, because he goes to motels, it's still just, I feel like it's not worth spending money on. At least for me, as somebody who actually, I'm like in the situation to actually be in the outdoors. But I totally get why a lot of people do it, especially if they're like in like a homeless situation. Like, I don't even say stereotypically homeless, but like they want to be indoors. I get why they do it. But I feel like especially for somebody like him that like wants to put money towards housing, it's still like too much. But I mean, of course, when the cops are being called on you and they're like harassing you and threatening you and they're acting like they're just playing all these weird games behind going to a library during the day, I can understand why he would do it. I mean, he was doing it before then, which is why he's barely around, but I understand why he do it, but that's not what I'm trying to do, and I don't have the money for that anyways. But it's like, what was I gonna say? I don't even know. I think my blood sugar's dropping too, playing games with these people. But yeah, I found like this one good spot. I haven't seen that like orb like star that's like really bright. And it was actually a good breeze too, or there is a good breeze, because it's usually hot at night here, which is crazy to me. How hot it is at night. Honestly, it seems like it's hotter at night than in the daytime. Or maybe the area I was in is just hot, but there's a good breeze and everything. And I wasn't even out there for 40 minutes. And of course, cops came. But also, I was like in a really visible spot, but I purposely like wanted to be in a spot that was like well lit, because those spots don't have like as many like stuff crawling around. Also, parking lots usually don't. I wasn't gonna be there all night, but I do know that when people see certain things that, of course, I mean, they're not the norm, especially in places like this. People are just, I don't know, they're taught to not look up, they're taught to not go outside, nothing. But when people see things that aren't the norm, especially like these possessed, still killing, destroyed Freemason Luciferian cops that hate everybody, because they're probably not even human, to be honest. I think a lot of them aren't, but especially them, like, they're gonna say stuff to you and do things to you anyways, because like it's just not the norm, obviously. But it's still pretty sucky though. But yeah, it's like I felt more and more throughout the years that as long as you're on this planet, you're trapped. Like, unless you're deep in the woods somewhere where you won't even like be able to get food, and you'll have to like walk 13 hours every time you have to go get food and bring it back. It's like, unless you're doing that, you're gonna constantly be dealing with law enforcement, monitoring spirits, let me help you lunatics, other types of Jezebels. That's the conclusion I've came to. It seems like people are just getting more and more trapped and don't even see it. I just feel like you can't even like spend quality time outdoors, even in the daytime, without like mess. That's how I really feel. And I mean, people, but actually no, because it really makes sense though, especially with the plans to lock people in these tiny take-home prisons that they're going to want people to put in. Like, research the line in the middle of the the quote-unquote Middle East. But, like, I've known for years that they want people to eventually be trapped in their houses. But it's, like, really being out here as much as I am and seeing, like, how people react, how law enforcement reacts, how the laws are being changed day by day, honestly since 2012. It really makes more and more sense how this is going to eventually get as bad as it is. Like, I can actually get even more now how they're going to have people trapped in their tech homes with a headset on in the metaverse all day doing weird stuff. Because nobody's going to be allowed to go anywhere. I mean, they've already been talking about 15-minute cities for forever. You already probably know about Agenda 2030 to 2035, I think. So the 15-minute cities, carbon footprint, if I can even say that. The electric cars are going to make you having these bikes and scooters where you're not going to be able to go anywhere because it's going to go dead after like 15 minutes or it's going to explode. It makes more and more sense. And like I keep saying, people think this is just about homeless people or supposedly homeless people. They think it's just about immigrants, whatever that, illegals, quote-unquote aliens. But it's not. It's about more than that. And like I've been saying, this is going to affect everybody soon. People don't even see it or care because it doesn't affect them yet. Like, there's a YouTube channel that I've been following. Recently, I followed on this account, but I've been following on another account for a couple years, actually. I think I found their account like they're recommended because I used to watch Go Black to Africa all the time. Don't know what happened to him. Not gonna lie, I've been worried, but like, they've been talking recently about the laws that are changing and how that's going to affect expats. But it also makes me think about, like, not passport bros. It makes me think about videos of expats, like, dealing with racial situations. Like, even a video of a lady on a plane and, like, this European guy asking her where is she from, and she's like, I'm from America or something like that. And he's like, well, no, because you're African, so where are you from? Or even in some video I watched multiple years ago, where Pastor Stephen Darby said that when he would go to flights to Africa, Nigeria, different countries in Africa, he would get asked why he was going. Things like that. It even reminds me of a time that this Mexican dude seen me walking down the public sidewalk. I was leaving the store, and he was like, what are you doing here? And it's like, I just learned not to respond to stuff. And it's like, honestly, some of these demonic little situations happen so quick, and people say or do whatever so fast, I don't even really have time to think of a response. So I just keep walking. It's like, I don't really know what to say sometimes. And so it's like, people think that these situations are just about people that are lower than them or in bad situations because they're bad or grown or being disrespectful to their parents, or they're lazy or whatever, but it's deeper than that. This is a war on movement and a war on freedom. That's what this is. This is about who's going to be trapped in their home and who's going to be, I don't know, hung from a light pole because they don't want to be trapped in their home. My voice is probably cracking because my throat is dry, but yeah. Sorry people don't see it, but I gotta go though, because this video is gonna be way too long if I keep talking. And it's only 2:18. But the cops did say if I want to go to sleep, I gotta sleep somewhere where they can't see me. But I mean, it's hard to do when they're looking for me, but it's like, I don't know though. I obviously don't want to be arrested or charged, but it's like, if you're gonna follow me, you might as well arrest me. Instead of just like, come up to me, harass me for a little bit, then leave, and then follow me somewhere else. I don't know. It's just so flashbacky. Like, I can definitely say, after spending time out here, it's like, it really has made me become more hypervigilant to cops. Not that I wasn't already, but it's like, I've learned who they're really, really after. People who they feel like they really can be. I mean, that's really anybody, any predatory person. They're always going to be after whoever they feel like doesn't have anybody, or like if you are living with like relatives or whatever, if they're abusive, then they're going to be like, well, you still don't have anybody, obviously, so I can still do whatever. Stuff like that. But that's a scary thought for a lot of people, though. if the cops or whoever did do something to me, there's nobody that's going to come looking for me. Nobody's going to know. A lot of people have that fear in their head who are either straight up homeless or they travel a lot, but they still don't, like, have family or whatever. And, I mean, it's a valid fear. I don't want to, like, be living in fear, obviously, but a lot of people do feel like that. Okay, actually, I forgot a couple of things. This made me really think, like, honestly, I understand why so many people spend their whole lives hiding up in a house all day and doing nothing but going to work, going to the store to get food, and then they hide in the house. But I can't live like that. I don't like all that fear stuff. But it's like, even though I say that, it's also the fact that, I mean, the people that have spent their whole life hiding in the house and hiding at work and doing nothing but going to, like, Food Line or whatever, they still don't actually know that this stuff happens or is starting to get worse and worse. So, I mean, they're still just hiding in the house because that's what they were taught to do. And they're taught that that's how life is and that's how you're supposed to live your life. Like, most Americans don't even have a passport. And I'm going to go ahead and say, if you don't have a passport, you're in trouble. If you don't have one by now, or you haven't already applied for one, you're in trouble. But most Americans don't even, like, have thoughts of going out the country. They're taught that everywhere is evil and unfair and all of that, even though America's going to eventually be the most repressive regime ever. But it's like, I mean, I just can't do the living in fear. And it's like, a lot of people watch this and they feel like it's about somebody wanting to be quote-unquote homeless. And it's like, the homeless term is just thrown around so much now that anybody who's not living a stereotypical lifestyle gets the homeless label slapped on them. Like, the term homeless has really lost its meaning. White people in areas with severe drug issues have made it about drugs, which honestly all white areas have drug issues, but they've made it about drugs and substances in a drug crisis or a homeless drug crisis. Other people have made it about being lazy or being mentally ill or quote-unquote mentally ill, even though mental illness comes from trauma. And of course, after somebody's already been trafficked, lower level or higher level, or in another abuse situation, and then they end up out here, they have to prostitute for food at 7, eat out of dumpsters at 7 and 14, get called a bum, charged, thrown in jail over and over again, treated like crap, etc., etc. They're going to break down more and more and get more trauma and become more broken because they're getting treated like crap. In fact, I remember years and years ago, I already knew this though, but years and years ago, I finally heard one person say, way back before I ended up out here, even really finally thought about actually escaping, I heard someone say, people that are walking up and down the street talking to themselves, they're broken people that have been through a lot. But I mean, people don't even really care anyways, but I was just shocked that I finally heard somebody actually admit that. But that was a long time ago. But anywho, no point was I getting at though. You notice that people that are in places that treat homeless people the worst are just where people are really mean in general, like New York. That's the place where the homeless people are the most messed up. Just like pretty much most of the people around, to be honest. Other people make it about being lazy, different things like that. And it's like, the homeless term has just been thrown around way too much. Commonly as an insult to people that they feel, I don't know, it's just really annoying, to be honest. It's like, it used to mean one thing, revolving around somebody who for whatever reason didn't have a place and they want a place, or they're like, I don't know, but it's like, it just means, it's really just an insult at this point. And about a lot of assumptions. But like, the way I see it, if you have a house or a home base and you're just traveling off and on, or you want to camp, that's not homeless. If you aren't old enough to even get a place, that's not homeless. I mean, people will probably still call themselves homeless. Certain people will, but I mean, a lot of people don't even like the term anymore. They'd rather say houseless. I don't really see the difference with that and homeless. Or, well, I guess the point is that home is where the heart is. So, I mean, they may not have a house, but they still have a home. But I just feel like if you're not even old enough to have a place to stay or to rent, then there's not really a point in being called that. And there's about to be a big youth homelessness epidemic. Not that there hasn't already been one since like the 40s that the U.S. covers up. And I can definitely say, as I've said before, I'm sure, that as the cash for kids system has gotten worse and it's easier to get locked up and kidnapped by cops and thrown in these different placements, or even thrown in these placements by your guardians. It is harder for homeless youth or homeless anybody. Because, I mean, you can really be thrown in the Cash for Kids system well into your 20s. Some people never get out. Like, you can go from there to the older human cash cow systems. But some people are stuck in Cash for Kids system placements till, like, their late 20s. But I feel like as the youth homelessness epidemic really takes off, people are going to be at a lot of risk of being thrown in these different little Ramco trash placements. That's really why they need to be abolished. Institutions shouldn't even exist.